If you got one of these tools on your computer, that's great. You can go to blueletterbible.com. They have you can do a word search on dispensation. Look it up in its Greek, because it's found in the New Testament, the Greek New Testament portion of it. So we're going to look up the word dispensation. Same verses, 1 Corinthians 9:17, Ephesians 1:10, Ephesians 3:2, and Colossians 1:25. And they all have the same Strong's number. Strong's Greek number 3622. So we're going to look up Greek number 3622 in the back. And we give you, tell you what the Strong's says. Okay, oikonomia. It's from Strong's number 3624. Let's just read that real quick. 3624 is oikos, of uncertain affinity, a dwelling. By implication, a family, a home, a household, a temple. That's what the root word means. Okay, back to oikonomia. No, I'm sorry. Koinonia is from 3623. A koinomos, which is a house distributor, a manager, an overseer, etc., etc. I'm not going to read the whole. But then it gives this definition for a koinonia, number 3622. Administration, and then of a household or a estate. So to have an administration over a household or estate. How better to explain it than talk about the Bush administration, the White House? That's an administration over a household or a state. This is over the country. Specifically, a religious economy, a dispensation. Here's the word, stewardship. Now let's put this into context. We'll look at a few of the verses. For one, we'll look up Ephesians chapter 1, verse 10, which is a verse that's used often to say that Paul taught dispensations. We'll look up this verse, and the King James says that in the dispensation of the fullness of times he might gather together in one all things in Christ, both which are in heaven and which are on earth, even in him. Now, if you translate the meaning into the word, what we have is an administration or a stewardship of the fullness of times. Let's see what the NASB renders this. I like to compare it with other translations. Rather than be fixed into one. Let's read verse 9. He made known to us the mystery of his will, according to his kind intention which he purposed in him, being Christ, with a view to an administration suitable to the fullness of the times. That is, the summing up of all things in Christ, things in heaven and things on the earth, in him. And then it goes on and on. But the reading here is more close to what the Greek means. The King James obscures it, and especially if you have a preconceived theology, if you're wearing spectacles, that dispensation to you, you've been taught, means a time period, you're going to read that when you see the word. But that's not what the word means. Nowhere in that definition that I read for dispensation, oikonomia, does it relate to anything to do with time or a testing of a will. We dealt with the model of the administration, the White House administration. That's having an administration. How did Paul use it in other verses? Paul said there's a verse where, I think it's Colossians or it's in Corinthians, where Paul says he was given a dispensation of grace. He was given an administration of grace. But we say, well, what does that mean? Well, think about it like this. Paul was given stewardship of God's grace to be able to explain the mystery of his will, to explain the mysteries of Christ and how the Lord has broken down the barrier wall, the dividing wall between Jew and non-Jew, and he's made the groups one. How he showed them how these Gentiles would not come in through the Mosaic covenant. They would come through the blood covenant of Yeshua's blood, and that was sufficient for them to enter into the kingdom of heaven. So he's been given all this by revelation. This was a dispensation given to him. It's an administration handed to him. He was the apostle sent forth to the Gentiles. This is his administration. This is his dispensation. This is the grace given to him, the dispensation of grace. It's not talking about a time period. And you never see in the Bible it talked about a dispensation of innocence, a dispensation of human government, a dispensation of law, a dispensation of promise, or a dispensation of kingdom. You only hear dispensation of fullness of times, grace of God, etc., etc. So what happens to the other six? Well, Darby invented it. I mean, you can clearly see that that's pretty much where it came from. He invented it. I want to read something else from David Paulson, and possibly from Dwight Pryor.